Welcome back to the World of Ideas. Our guest this morning is Bill Hampton, principal of McCluer North High School, and we're talking about an exciting program that Bill has been one of the major creators of, I think, probably in the country, community learning programs, getting students out into the community. Bill, before the break, you gave an example of a student whose life had obviously been changed in a very dramatic way by a very positive experience in the community. I can imagine that a number of school districts would like, or at least there are certainly people in the school districts who would like to start programs like this. Are they hard to start?
Well, I'm afraid so. I think the hardest part about getting a school connected with so many agencies in the community, I mean, our school now has 400 people on our list, and we keep in touch with them by newsletter and communication on a yearly basis, so that at any time we have a student interested in an occupation, we can place them. To get to that point takes a long time, and it takes a certain amount of persistence. I think first of all, anyone interested in that idea needs to know that it doesn't cost any more money. Mm-hmm. It's really no more expensive to get students involved in this kind of situation than it is to have them in an English class. It's not expensive, but it does require getting the right personnel to get it started. I was fortunate maybe in that when we did decide to develop this kind of program, I had several teachers that I think had the right skills and the right kind of the right understanding. It's not managing this kind of learning is so different from teaching in the classroom. Mm-hmm. And I use the word managing because it is much more a management situation. The teachers in this program go out to Rotary and Lions clubs and go out to businessmen and make presentations and solicit more involvement from the community. So they've got to be salesmen, they've got to be really good at communicating, they have to have a certain commitment to this idea, or you certainly couldn't sell it if you didn't believe in it.
Let me ask you a question. Obviously you and the team that you work with have done a tremendous job of building up the cooperation. The number 400 strikes me as just incredible. That many people that are that many outside people in the community that are involved in the program. But that's something that was built up over a number of years.
No, and not always easily.
No, not easily.
A lot of people, when they hear about the program and get a clear picture of it, hand us their business cards immediately and say, I'd really like to be involved. The head of a large medical center told me that he loves having our apprentices there because the whole quality of work in his clinic goes up while they're there. All the employees begin modeling and really begin showing off to help the neophyte learn the business. Sure. I can recall one man in our community is a jewelry designer who was one of the most negative opponents of public school. He didn't think public schools taught people to read or write or anything. And one day we had a girl who wanted to get into jewelry design, and the sponsors of the program could find no placement. But I knew this fellow because he was so negative. And by hook or crook anyway, over a period of weeks, we finally talked him into trying it out. And just to shortcut this whole story, is that he's probably one of the best PR agents we have in our school district. He has had a student in his shop studying jewelry design almost every year since that happened 5 or 6 years ago. And we're very good personal friends. And that's a kind of an accidental benefit that I don't think we had figured on.
The benefits really do go both ways, though, don't they?
Oh, they certainly do.
I think it's interesting what you say about the employees in the office really working harder when the students are there because they want to be good role models and I guess a sense of pride in their own work.
And the other thing that I don't think we'd fully anticipated is that it really generates communication in homes. You get a teenage boy coming home from a hospital or coming home from the fire department. At the supper table, he becomes an expert. Where before he was an inept teenager, now he knows what's going on in a medical laboratory or in the fire department, and the parents have to listen because what do they know about it? Mm-hmm. And I think it changes the relationship of the adolescent and the parent because this experience is so powerful.
But one of the things you mentioned in your book, you say, we view what we have offered in this book as a package deal. I think the thing that's I'm curious about is if you could expand on that idea that what we've talked about this morning, the community learning program, is just one part of a much larger kind of organization which you describe very vividly in your book. But what's the undergirding of the package deal?
I think that's really a good question, because in setting up a community learning program, it's absolutely essential that the parents participate in the planning of that program. Mm-hmm. Their cooperation, if we don't have it, it just can't be done. And parents frequently are kind of skeptical of a community learning program in the beginning, but if they get involved in the planning of that program, the setting up of the learning objectives, it really becomes a tremendous cooperation of the student, the learner, the teacher, and the parent. And in a large sense, that's the way our school operates. Our whole school operates on the basis that teachers and students and parents must come together in a partnership to help determine what the right program is for the student and to become partners in monitoring and helping the student become successful. I think it's just kind of tragic that in secondary schools across the country there isn't enough communication between parents and teachers. It's pretty good in the elementary school. Mm-hmm. A parent has an elementary child in the 3rd grade, they tend to know who the 3rd grade teacher is, and the communications are pretty adequate. But once a student reaches the high school years, that communication just literally falls apart. Our school has been really dedicated to the idea that even in a secondary school it ought to be a partnership, so that if a student doesn't have a community learning program, we still try to bring the parent in to the process of planning the student's program and trying to match that program against their aspirations and against the student's abilities and interests. And that kind of communication, I think, makes for a much healthier school, much healthier community, and certainly assists the adolescent, I think.
Another very important part of the whole process that you talk about in your book a lot, and this could be another program, is we don't have time this morning to talk about it in any depth, but is the whole advisement process as it's been worked out and used at McCluer North.
Right. We've made a real attempt to break down the role specialization that's occurred in high schools. English teachers, science teachers, counselors, principals, all kinds of people in a high school functioning as specialists and relating to students only in terms of a specialty. And what we've done is set up a program where we've trained all of our teachers and all of our administrators and all of our counselors to function as academic advisors, much like you might have in a college setting, so that everybody in our school has equal knowledge of the program and relates to a certain number of parents and students in working out student learning programs. It's a very sophisticated system that's taken a long time to work out.
The philosophical undergirding that I hear in much of what you're saying and that I certainly comes across in your book is the whole idea of which is part of general systems theory, I think, of the parts being of a whole, and that for any of the parts to operate effectively, you have to think about the whole.
Right.
You've extended that to the community in terms of our discussion this morning, saying that for the school to really operate effectively within the community, that there has to be very strong interconnections. And what I hear you saying is the same thing is true inside the school.
That's very true, and the focal point, that what makes that connection is focusing on the learner, the student. The only reason a public school or any school exists is to help the learner. And it's kind of an obvious thing to say, isn't it? But I think some people forget that.
I think that's true. Let me ask you this question. Do you think, and we're running just a bit short on time, and it's a big question, would you say that if more schools used programs like this that got students actively involved in the community, that there would tend to be at least more community support for the schools?
I certainly am positive of that, because we have surveyed our parents at random, and we've surveyed the parents only of students in community learning. And a lot of people may not even believe this, but we do not get a negative response from a parent who's had a child go through community learning. The parents are deeply appreciative of the school serving that function. Without exception, the parents view that opportunity for their child as being as valuable as anything that's happened to them.
I think it's a tremendous thing that you've done at McCluer North. We're very happy that you've been able to be with us this morning. Bill Hampton's book should be read by administrators throughout the county and school district people. Thanks for being with us, Bill, this morning. Those of you who'd be interested in his book can call 595-2300. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Jerry.